Indonesia, and he took on this position in January this year. Welcome, Your Excellency. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to meet with you and your audience. I wish them all a very healthy and prosperous coming 9 months of the year. And I am hopeful that this interaction will prove in a way to bring the Indian community closer to the Indian Embassy.
Right. Thank you so much. We are looking forward to talking to you and getting some more insights on the Indian Embassy and its activities here in Indonesia. But before we do that, may I request you to tell us very briefly about yourself?
Okay. To begin with, I am a product of an Indian residential school called Netharhat near Ranchi. I was there from the age of 10 to 17. From there, I moved to IIT Kanpur. I did my electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur. And I moved to IIT Delhi for my master's degree. While being in Delhi, I prepared for the Union Public Service exam. And I was selected first for the railways through 1986 exam. And then I came to Indian Foreign Service through 1988 exam. Since that time, as a diplomat in the Ministry of External Affairs, I was posted from Tehran to Holland in 90 to 96. Then I came back to India and I was working for Ministry of Commerce for a year, and then was brought back to the Ministry of External Affairs, where I looked after the affairs with Bangladesh. After I left India in 99, I was first sent to Nepal. And from there, I served in Turkey. And from Turkey, I moved to Myanmar. I came back to India in 2008, and I was the head of the division looking after e-governance and IT. I left then in 2011 as Indian ambassador to Belarus. From there, I moved as Indian ambassador to Ukraine and came back to India in 2018. There I was serving the economic diplomacy division before I was promoted to the secretary level, where I headed the administration of the ministry. And then I joined our embassy in Jakarta on the 15th of January. I presented my credential to the president here on the 4th of February. And since then, I am working full-fledged as the Indian ambassador here. This is in short about me and my career. I would only say that it has been a very fruitful journey in life. I got married in 1989. My wife was also a government servant. In fact, she was my batchmate from 86 exam, though we did not meet at that time. But then we had 2 children. Both our sons are adult now, 31 and 29 years old, and they are busy with themselves, with their own lives.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing your journey till Indonesia till date, as well as about your children and your wife. Very interesting. And I see that you have moved to Europe and Southeast Asia back and forth. And so in fact, Indonesia is the furthest in Southeast Asia that you have been.
Yeah.
So had you ever visited Indonesia prior to this year?
No, actually, it is strange that before taking over as Indian ambassador, I had never visited Indonesia, though my children had come here earlier while they were working and while they were in college. But I and my wife had never come to Indonesia before. The closest we had come was Singapore, because my
Right.
elder son was studying in Singapore.
Okay.
So we had come to see him there. But as far as Indonesia is concerned, it was a virgin land for us.
So what about Indonesia or the people in Indonesia has impressed you or surprised you the most?
I would say we had learned a lot about Indonesia, and these days in the information highway, anyone can go. And we had seen a lot about Indonesia. We had an image, an idea. But being in Indonesia was completely different from all that experience that we had got in the past.
How so?
It was more green than we had expected. It was more friendly than we had expected. It was more cooperative than we had expected. That was just the first impression. In the last 2 months and a half, we have traveled quite extensively for the short time period that we have spent here. We have gone to Medan, we have gone to Bandung, we have gone to Bali, and we have traveled by road to Bali. So we have seen the countryside, we have seen people, we have met a large number of people. And it amazes me to no end as to how similar we are with people in India. The similarity in our culture, the similarity in our thinking pattern, the similarity in our roadside environment or villages, it seems as if I am in another part of India. Right. Or Indonesians can feel being in India that they are in another part of Indonesia in India. So that is something very heartwarming. And I take a great amount of solace from the fact that we too are very similar people.
Right. In fact, India and Indonesia have a very shared history. It's 2 millennia long shared history. And, some of these artifacts like Borobudur and all of them are testament to that shared history. Is there an intent from the government perspective to change the narrative so now it can be an active active partnership on the world arena rather than just thinking about what we have done over the historical years, but now to change it into current?
No, history and connectivity with the history is fine, but it cannot sustain a relationship between countries for no reason of modern nature. If you recall, immediately after our independence, both India's independence and Indonesia's independence, there was a period of extremely close relationship between India and Indonesia. And I have a feeling that that was primarily based on this anti-colonialism and emphasis on democracy. Right. Democracy was a new concept in the world, and many newly independent countries were experimenting with democracy. India and Indonesia, even at that time, being two large population countries, were turning into democracies. And it was very natural for these two countries to come together, and the kind of intensity we had in our relationship was understandable. It somehow fell off because of many reasons. Then there was a spurt in economic development. The whole world, the whole underdeveloped world started concentrating on how to grow economically faster, not only for anything else, but also for the benefit of our own population.
Right.
To bring them out of poverty. And now, in the 21st century, in the present circumstances of challenges, problems, as well as technological advancements that we have in the world, we need to reinvent that closeness. There is a need to find new basis on which we can bring our two countries together. We in India are the largest democracy in the world. Indonesia is the third largest democracy in the world. India is the second most populous country in the world. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world.
Yes.
India has the fourth largest economy in the world. Indonesia has the ninth largest economy in the world. In the Southeast Asia, Indonesia perhaps is the largest economy. And they are the natural leaders of the conglomeration of these countries in the Southeast Asia. So there is a need to reinvent our relationship in a fruitful manner, which can take care of the challenges of the 21st century.
Yes.
And both countries in this region, so-called Indo-Pacific region, are capable of identifying those challenges, finding solutions, and then work on those solutions to bring kind of peace and progress and prosperity, not only to the people of this region, but also people all over the globe. Because if you add the population of India and the population of Indonesia, we become more than 1.6 billion people, which is nearly 1/4 of the entire world population.
Very true.
So we need to find new dynamics. This is what I would say.
Yes. Thank you for that very nice explanation, Your Excellency. You know, talking about the 21st century, last year has been super challenging globally. What have been the three big lessons from the pandemic, personally and professionally, for you?
You know, the challenge last year that we all faced, individually, work-wise, through society or for the country, there can be many lessons that people of different strata would have got for themselves. But if we try to find a common denominator, I will try to go by that. And when you ask me three, we'll try and find out those three may not be in the proper order of priority, but these are basically some random thoughts and collection of common denominator from different aspects. I would say that the world has come to realize the value of being healthy. This pandemic was affecting those people more who had comorbidity of different nature. If people are healthy and then they follow this norm of masking and social distancing, it would have been much better for them individually. So I would say the concept of personal health, and when I talk in terms of Indian perspective, it naturally evolves to yoga and meditation. Those things become part of our personal health and care. We wish that the same understanding of these norms of healthcare are passed on to the entire world in a way, and people start realizing that just the aerobics is not good enough. If you just add breathing exercises with those aerobics, which becomes part of yoga, that has an added value for your healthcare.
Yeah.
The second thing that comes very obviously, is that people realized during the lockdown period that however wealthy you may be, wealth doesn't count. Money does not prove to be everything. The kind of emphasis we used to have on personal comfort, which money can buy in normal circumstances, in the COVID situation, in the pandemic situation, in the lockdown period, money lost its value. Going along with that, we found that families attained higher value on the other end. People who were very fine living in 10 different countries found suddenly isolated, and whatever money they had, whatever they wanted to do, they could not meet with each other. Older parents could not meet with their younger generation, and they faced a lot of hardship. So the concept of money and the concept of family togetherness became very, very important lesson of last year. Professionally, I would say I myself was never very keen on virtual meetings, but now I have adopted to this. This is a big change. Um, uh, the work culture has changed. People have started working from home. Many IT related companies have decided that for the next 2 years, they will not send their people to work. You can imagine what has happened to the real estate in that case. Um, Things have really gone amazingly different. And I wish people should not forget these lessons that we have learned during last year, during COVID times. And we should not go back to our previous habits, which we used to have, the extravagant nature, the kind of rubbish we used to eat and display. I wish people learn a lesson for their lifetime and for the good of humanity.
Yeah, I think you're very right. Health, relationships, and using online tools has become a way of life. I think God has given us over a year to practice and learn this so that we may not forget. So yes, very valid points. Thank you for that. With this change in scenario, etc., and as well as your being here in Indonesia, uh, what are the activities that Indian Embassy plans to do in Indonesia going forward?
Uh, During these changed circumstances, I would, if given an opportunity, I would point out on certain 2 or 3 specific things. As a result of pandemic, certain areas of business have become much more promising, which includes pharmaceuticals, IT industry, e-commerce, virtual meeting platforms, and things like this. These are all areas where Indians and Indian companies have progress. They can not only serve their own countrymen, but also the entire world. We would like to propagate this thing in Indonesia. I request the Indonesian government with proposals how to utilize these expertise of India and bring them to Indonesia. The second aspect would be in training. India is a storehouse of training prospects. In any field of activity, whether new or old, whether it is e-learning, e-governance, IT-related industry, or anything, there are ample opportunities and scholarships provided by Government of India, which should be utilized by the Indonesian people and Indonesian government. Just to give you an example, there are 100 scholarships under our ITech program, what is called Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation ITech program. Indonesia gets 100 fully funded scholarships from Government of India. Unfortunately, we do not get more than 40 to 50 people to take these scholarships. These are great anomalies. And I have already embarked on this thing that wherever I go, whomever I meet, and I have also told my officials that they should give a huge publicity to these courses. And one can imagine that these scholarships are not small things.
Yeah.
Starting from your air travel both ways, your tuition fee, your lodging, boarding, book allowance, extra allowance, everything is given by Government of India. These courses range from 2 weeks to 16 weeks. They can be as easy as, proficiency in English language. This is also a 3-month long course. People who would like to improve their English for professional courses, There are courses for English for IT industry, courses for office management, leadership course. There are so many opportunities in 62 different areas.
Wow.
Like people in Indonesia to take full benefit of these scholarship courses. So this is the second element of training. I would also venture out to say that there are certain areas where India has acquired excellence, let's say in automobiles, in solar power generation, and um, I would say electronic version of governance. Um, we have our own system of Aadhaar card. We have our own system of electronic voting and many things related with this. We would like to see whether these things are applicable in Indonesia or not, being a similar democratic and country with population, different economic prosperity zones. Might be, I mean, India is known for its so-called appropriate technology, not the most expensive, not the best perhaps, but it is most appropriate in terms of our own requirements, environment, economic and educational diversity, and the large country that we have. So I would like that also to be seen, translated in Indonesia.
Yeah, you're very right, because the demographics are very similar, the cultural norms are very similar, so it'll be a good fit. You're very right in that. In fact, it is a matter of pride for us that India is taking on the role as the pharmacy of the world. And this is something that is equally valid for Indonesia as well. What are your thoughts on that, Ambassador?
Indonesia has already embarked on a very ambitious program for vaccination. However, there is a clear possibility and advantage of taking further assistance from India. AstraZeneca, which has now been accepted here in Indonesia, is being manufactured in large amounts in India. So in a way, India is already contributing to the vaccination drive in Indonesia in smaller amount. But we have our own vaccine, which is produced by Bharat Biotech, called Covaxin. And this is not right now in the protocol of government of Indonesian vaccination program. We are working with government of Indonesia to find out in what way Covaxin can become part of their vaccination drive, and help speedy vaccination process in Indonesia. I would recommend that as and when Covaxin is available here in Indonesia, people should opt for Covaxin, because it has proven to be effective and it is also easy to administer. It doesn't require minus 70 degrees for storage. It is stored at 2 to 8 degrees plus centigrade. So this is one. And apart from that, in general, pharmaceutical products and pharmaceutical material, India has a clear advantage of both price, efficiency, and proven track record in the world. And I will wish that Indonesia, which is facing a very big challenge in terms of high pharmaceutical prices due to whatever reason, this collaboration with Indian companies and Indian pharmaceutical industry helps them bring down the high cost of life-saving and other drugs in Indonesia.
Ambassador, you also mentioned about education. You touched upon training, but now that Indonesia is opening up to education from other countries, is there any plans in the pipeline to bring Indian institutions to Indonesia?
I would say that education is already being seen as part of collaboration and cooperation. But school education as such perhaps is not in the G2G realm.
Okay.
There are many private institutions and not only schools but colleges who would like to start their campuses in Indonesia. When I was in India just 2 months ago, I had met with some of these institutions, and they are very keen not only to come to Indonesia for setting up their own campuses here, but also invite Indonesian students in India. There are many such universities which are now internationalizing. They are not only opening up new campuses. Most of them have already opened up in the Gulf region, but they are also keen to come to Indonesia. Indonesia has 270 million people, and it requires much more educational facilities than it has currently.
Just last question, Ambassador. What would be your message to the Indian diaspora in Indonesia?
In fact, this question comes at absolutely the right moment, because just before I have told you about what we need to propagate. Indian diaspora here has double responsibility. One, they have to follow the rules and regulations of Indonesia. And second, wherever they go, they will be treated as Indians. So they also have to display the Indianness in society here. They are expected to show the Indianness. And what is Indianness? These are the norms, ethos that India has been propagating, as is known for. India is known for being tolerant country. We as Indians here have to display that. India is known as a country to worship and nurture nature. We have to display that here. India is known to look beyond the obvious. The Indian word for philosophy is darshan shastra. And you know where this word comes from? The Indian philosophy does not teach you to follow a god or to follow a book or to follow a messiah. It asks you to search for the truth yourself. You take steps, you do things so that you can see the ultimate truth yourself. This is the true Indian philosophy. And that is why in India, the philosophy is named Darshan Shastra. You have to drish, you have to see what the truth is all about. This entails lot many things, not only yoga and meditation, but a way to look inside yourself, the way to look beyond what is obvious. When you are meditating, you are in a trance where you are in a different world, different dimension. I always call it the fifth dimension. And I have written this in my book also, the book I have written on understanding Indian philosophy through modern science. I call it the fifth dimension. And the Indians here have to first understand and display this capability of looking beyond the obvious, looking beyond whatever is being seen. Only then people in Indonesia will value them as true Indians. That is my message to them.
Thank you, Ambassador Bharti. That is very, very empowering that we can, in fact, be the person we are and in turn inspire people around us. And we welcome you to Indonesia, and we look forward to working with you such that we can meet and work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and all the best to all your viewers.